Today I'm going to make a video about making a DIY kayak cart. This kayak weighs about 54 pounds and it's kind of a pain to get down to the lake or the river. You got to drag it, or you need two people, and then you got to go back and forth if you got more than one kayak. Whereas with a cart, I can just put a cart underneath the back end here and then lift it up by the front by this handle and just walk along with it. It makes a huge difference. And this is going to be a DIY cart made out of PVC and a metal axle, or an aluminum axle, and it's only cost me about $30 to make it. I had a couple of things laying around, like the PVC glue and electrical tape that I didn't need to buy. If you need to buy those, it'd probably run you about $40 to make this little cart. But the nice thing about this cart is it's very lightweight. It only weighs 3.5 pounds. And I made it so that it's stowable, so I can actually fit it in my cargo hold. Now this cargo hold is about 16 inches long, roughly, what was it, 8 inches wide? No, actually 10 inches wide, and it's about 8.5 inches deep. And on the sides it's about 7 inches deep. So keep that in mind when I talk about building this thing and the dimensions that I used. If your cargo hold is a different size, you might have to change that a little bit in order to get it to fit in there. But if yours is this size, then these dimensions that I use will work for that. But the other option is, if you've got a cargo hold that's full of gear when you go out, you can always just throw it up on the back of the kayak there and strap it down. So these are the parts you're going to need to put this together. 2 wheels with a 1/2 inch bore, 4 1/2 inch PVC tees, 2 ratchet straps, about 5 feet of 1/2 inch PVC pipe, some PVC cement, 24 inches of 1/2 inch aluminum tubing, 2 1/2 inch hitch pins, 4 1/2 inch washers, some electrical tape, 2 feet of 1/2 inch pipe insulation, and 4 1/2 inch PVC slip-on end caps. The first thing we're going to do is work on the axle. So we're going to take this 1/2 inch PVC, we're going to cut one 10-inch piece. Now we're going to cut two 2-inch pieces. And this is for the upright pieces to support the part of it that will that the bottom of the kayak will rest on. Now I'm making these 2 inches because it's going to be relatively low. The kayak is not going to be far off of the wheels, but you can make this as long as you want if you would like your kayak to come up a little higher. And you might have to experiment with that to determine how long to make these. But the shorter they are, the sturdier they're going to be. You get it up to about 1 foot long or something, and it's going to be pretty wobbly, and you might have trouble with that. Now I'm going to cut 6 4-inch pieces. Alright, now I'm going to put the axle together to make sure that I cut these pieces to the right length. So I've got one 10-inch piece and 2 4-inch pieces. I've got 2 tees, and I've got my aluminum tube, 24-inch, half inch diameter aluminum tube. So I'm just going to put these together with no cement. First, the tees on both sides of the 10-inch piece. Try to get that leveled, flattened out. And then the 4-inch pieces are going to be in the ends, like this. So we're going to end up with a piece that looks like this. Now we're going to put this aluminum rod right through the center of it and make sure that the length is okay. And it looks like it's probably pretty good. So what we're going to do now is put some washers and wheels on it and see how much of this end is sticking out. Put a washer on there and a wheel. And then do the same on the other end. A washer and a wheel. And push it together. Put another washer on the outside edge. And that looks just about right. You can see I've got a little bit extra hanging out on the end on both sides. And now I'm going to drill a little hole right through this, right at the end there. And that's what the pins are going to go through. The hitch pin clips are going to go through and hold this on. And put a hitch pin clip through there. And hitch pin clip. Alright, so now we've got the axle assembly ready to go. Alright, so now we're going to start gluing this thing together. Don't do the other T on this end until the very last, and I'll show you why. Now, at this point, work on the other end here independently before you... The last thing you're going to do is put it on the end of the axle there. Okay, now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to measure the distance from the end of this cap to where it hits the shaft of this T here, and I'm going to compare it with the other one. And if they're both the same, then it's going to be easy to get these things lined up completely parallel with each other. About 4 5/8. And then this one is, yep, 4 5/8, about the same thing. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put the glue on here. I'm going to put these together. Before I glue it, I'm going to show you like that. And then I'm going to push both of them down on the table so to make sure all 4 corners here are flat. And then that should guarantee that these are going to be parallel with each other. So let's see how this goes. Put this on here. Put it on there. Put it down on the table. There we go. Oh yeah, that's a little bit off, but it's pretty darn close. It's not going to make a difference. Now, we'll put the insulation on these top pieces here. I just measure it by hand, hold my thumb where I want to cut it, and just cut it with some tin snips. Stuff cuts pretty easily. Like that. Then tear this protective plastic off of there, and then just feed it over the top of this like that, and then tape it down. Little trick I learned about 30 years ago from a guy I was helping him do building maintenance in an airplane hangar during the summer while I was in college. And he said, if you're going to wrap something with electrical tape, you start it, and when you wrap it around, you pull it, so you're stretching it as it's going around. All the way around, keep stretching it, and that makes it go on there nice and tight. And then once you get to the end, you're still stretching it, and then when you come back, you stop stretching it and you just pull out a piece and cut it off with a scissors or tin snips or whatever you have, and then you just press it down without stretching it. And when you do it that way, that last piece there is not stretched, so it will seal really well and it won't pull out. If you stretch it and push it down while you've got it stretched out, that stretching action is going to keep pulling against that, and eventually it's going to pull the end of it loose. And that's why the ends will start to come off. But if you don't do it that way, it'll stay good for a long time. So then you're just going to continue doing that on the rest of these three ends here. So there's the finished product, and the kayak will just sit on top of this towards the rear of the kayak, and we'll strap it on with some ratchet straps, and it'll be ready to go. So now to secure it, I'm going to do that with these ratchet straps, and I'm just going to take one hook and on the ratchet end of it, and just hook it right around that T right there, and then it will go up over the top here and bring it around like that. Now this strap needs to be fed into this slot right here, and then come back, and then you'll just ratchet it in. But there's way too much strap on here, so I'm going to cut it off. I'm just going to leave about an extra 6 inches, and I'm going to cut it off there. Like that. And now I'm going to melt the end here, and that will seal it so it won't unravel. You just get it to start to melt a little bit, and that's it. You can see it get kind of shiny on the end there, and then that's good. It won't unravel now. And now I'll just feed it into here. Feed it in like this. And then bring it back and just kind of hang on to it like that while you start to ratchet it. And that will start winding it up on here, and you maintain that tension on it as you're winding, and that will keep it tight. So when you set the cart on here and put this strap around here, you want to make sure the cart is forward of something like this, or maybe the anchors for these straps, so that you have something where you can tighten down the strap that's going to hold the strap in place and prevent it from going that way when you pull the kayak. Because of the way the kayak is tapered, if it starts to move a little bit, this is going to loosen right up and it'll come right off. And away you go. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.